Imagine walking up to your water heater right now and seeing a zero on your utility bill for the next 30 years. Not a lower bill, zero. That is not a dream. That is what I found happening on farms across Holmes County, Ohio, and the people doing it were not engineers. They were Amish families who never plugged in a single wire. Here is the plain truth. The average American household spends between $400 and $600 every year just to heat water. And a system that eliminates that cost entirely can be built this weekend for somewhere between $40 and $60 in materials. The Amish have been doing exactly this for generations, not because they are stuck in the past, but because they understood something the rest of us were quietly discouraged from knowing. Stay with me through this video, because near the end, I am going to show you something pulled from a United States patent filed in 1891 by a Baltimore man named Clarence Kemp, a system so effective that 1/3 of all homes in Pasadena, California were using it by 1897. That technology was commercially killed within 30 years. And the Amish never stopped using it. This works on any existing home. You do not need to be building from scratch. The first time I walked through an Amish property outside of Millersburg, I spent the better part of 20 minutes looking for the water heater. Not the solar panels on the roof, the water heater. The one they used for dishes, laundry, bathing. I finally found it. It was a black painted wooden box, about the size of a storm window, propped up at an angle against the south side of the barn. A garden hose ran in from the bottom and out from the top into a small insulated tank. The man who owned the property was watching me study it. He said, very matter of fact, "My grandfather built the first one. I built this one. My son will build the next one. 3 generations, same principle, zero utility cost." That stayed with me, because I had spent 22 years paying a gas company to heat my water that comes out of the ground cold and needs to reach about 120 degrees before it is useful. And there is a machine sitting in my basement doing that job around the clock, whether I need hot water at 2 in the afternoon or 2 in the morning, running, using gas, sending money to a company I have never met, every single day. Here is what the Amish understand that the rest of us were never taught. Heating water with a flame, whether gas or electric resistance, is spectacularly inefficient. You are paying for energy that fights entropy. The moment that water heater shuts off, the tank starts losing heat to the surrounding air. So the burner kicks back on, heats it again, cools, heats again. All day, all night, every day of the year. You are not just paying to heat water. You are paying to maintain heat against constant loss. And you pay that cost every hour the sun is not doing it for free. The principle behind every Amish solar water system is ancient. Dark surfaces absorb heat. Trapped air holds that heat. Water carries it. No moving parts. No electricity. No permit. And here's what surprises most people when they first hear it. This is not experimental fringe science. This is proven physics documented in American homes going back to the 1890s. But we will get to that in a moment. First, let me show you what this system actually looks like at the basic level, because the word solar immediately makes people think of expensive silicon panels on a roof with an inverter and a battery bank. That is not what we are talking about. We are talking about a collector, a box that traps sunlight and transfers its heat to water. That is the entire mechanism. A box, some pipe, and black paint. The Amish version costs less than a tank of gas. The core of the system is what builders call a batch collector. You take a length of black pipe. It can be copper, it can be black poly tubing, it can even be a standard black garden hose, and you coil it inside a shallow insulated box. The back of the box is painted flat black. The front is covered with a piece of old single-pane glass or clear polycarbonate. That glass does one specific thing. It lets shortwave solar radiation in and blocks the longwave heat radiation from escaping back out. Same principle as a greenhouse. Same principle as a car sitting in summer sun with its windows up. You know how hot that gets. Now imagine that heat being transferred into water flowing through black pipe. On a clear day in most of the continental United States, that water reaches temperatures between 120 and 150 degrees Fahrenheit. That is hot enough for a shower, hot enough for dishes, hot enough to pasteurize water from a non-municipal source if you ever need to. The Amish variation I saw in Holmes County added one refinement that makes it useful even in winter. They tilt the collector at an angle equal to their latitude plus 15 degrees. In Ohio, that is roughly 55 degrees from horizontal. That angle chases the low winter sun more directly. Combined with the insulation on the back of the box, these systems produce usable hot water down to about 20 degrees outside air temperature. Not as hot as summer, but hot enough to preheat your existing tank and cut your gas bill by more than half even in January. Now, if you already own a house and you are thinking this only applies to people building from scratch, stay with me, because this next part is specifically for you. The most common objection I hear from people who live in older homes built in the 60s, 70s, or even earlier, is that solar water is a new construction upgrade. That you need a new roof, new plumbing, a contractor, a permit, and $6,000. That is the story you have been sold. It is not true. I know because I installed my first system on a house built in 1,967 inches a single Saturday. No permits, no contractor, no changes to my existing water heater. Here is exactly what I did. I bought 75 feet of half-inch black polyethylene irrigation tubing from a farm supply store. It cost me $11. I built a simple frame from scrap 2x4s and a piece of plywood I had in the garage. I painted the inside of the frame flat black with a can of spray paint. I coiled the black tubing into the frame, painted the tubing black, and covered the front with an old storm window I found at the curb on trash day. Total material cost, $38. Then I connected the inlet to my cold water supply line using a standard garden hose adapter, $4 at any hardware store. The outlet I ran into the cold water inlet on my existing gas water heater. Cold water now passes through the solar collector before it ever reaches the gas burner. In summer, that water arrives at the tank already between 90 and 110 degrees. My gas burner barely runs. In winter, the water arrives preheated by 30 to 40 degrees. My gas burner runs less. My bill drops every month, every year. On a house built in 1967, with $38 in materials and one afternoon of work, this is not the only version that works. A retired school teacher I met through a homesteading group built his using an old black-painted chest freezer shell as the collector box. No glass, he used 2 layers of clear plastic greenhouse film stretched over a wooden frame. His total cost was $11 because he scrounged everything else from his property. He measured his water inlet temperature and his outlet temperature with a $12 infrared thermometer. On a clear June afternoon, his system was raising water temperature by 62 degrees. He was heating water that his existing tank needed to raise by only another 8 degrees before it was ready to use. 8 degrees of gas. The rest was free sunlight. Now, I want to give you the history that nobody ever taught you, because once you understand what happened to this technology, why you have never heard of it, why your plumber has never mentioned it, why it disappeared from every standard home construction guide between 1,950 and 1,970, you will understand something important about the system that has been collecting money from you every month. Go back to Baltimore, 1891. A man named Clarence Kemp ran a small manufacturing shop selling home heating equipment. He had been watching people set black-painted metal tanks out in the sun to get hot water, a practice that goes back further than most people realize, but it was crude. The tanks lost all their heat overnight. You had hot water at 2 in the afternoon and cold water by morning. Kemp solved the problem. He enclosed the tank in a wooden box with a glass top, the same hot box principle that Swiss physicist Horace Benedict de Saussure had demonstrated in 1767. That glass lid changed everything. The Climax solar water heater, as Kemp called it, was patented in 1891 and sold for $15. By 1897, just 6 years later, a full third of homes in Pasadena, California, were heating their water with it. One manufacturer alone sold more than 10,000 units by the late 1920s. Then, natural gas arrived in California. The gas companies did not need to lobby against solar water heaters. They did not need to fund a committee to write a rule. They just did what monopolies have always done. They made their product cheaper. They dropped the price of gas to 2.5 cents per kilowatt hour. At that price, solar water heaters were not worth the upfront cost to a builder who did not care about your long-term bill, only his own short-term construction cost, so they were left off new homes. And when you leave a technology off new homes for 20 years, the next generation of plumbers never learns to install it. The generation after that never learns to ask for it. Within 40 years, an entire technology that had served millions of American families was invisible, not because it failed, because someone else profited from the replacement. The Amish communities in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, and Holmes County, Ohio, never made that trade, not because they are opposed to progress. They are not. They are some of the most practical, results-focused builders I have ever met. They kept solar water systems because they were still working, because the math still worked, because they did not have a gas company salesman showing up at their door with a cheaper monthly rate. They stayed outside the system that everyone else got pulled into, and they preserved something the rest of America forgot. There is a detail from that history I want you to sit with for a moment. William Bailey, the man who improved Kemp's design in 1909 by separating the collector from the storage tank, the system he called the day and night solar heater sold more than 4,000 units between 1909 1918. 4,000 families in California had free hot water. Then, in 1923, Bailey sold his patent rights to a Florida firm. By the late 1920s, plentiful, cheap natural gas had essentially ended the California market for solar water heating. The technology did not die from competition with something better. It died from competition with something cheaper in the short term. There is a difference, and that difference has been costing you money every month for decades. Here is what I want you to do this week. Not this year, this week. Go to your water heater and look at the cold water inlet pipe. That is the pipe where city water enters your tank before it gets heated. It is usually connected at the top on one side. That pipe is where every dollar you save enters the equation. If you can intercept that water before it reaches the tank, send it first through a solar collector and preheat it by even 30 degrees, you have fundamentally changed your energy math without touching your existing system. You do not need to replace your water heater. You do not need a new roof. You do not need a licensed contractor. You need a length of black irrigation tubing, a shallow insulated box, a piece of old glass, and 4 hours on a Saturday morning. For a single person or two-person household, 75 to 100 feet of half-inch black tubing in a well-built collector box will cover 60 to 80% of your annual hot water needs through spring, summer, and fall. For a larger family, 2 collector panels plumbed in series can approach full annual coverage in most of the continental United States. The Amish households I visited that use nothing but solar thermal for hot water, completely off their propane supply for water heating, were using 2 panels, each roughly 4 feet by 8 feet, with a 50-gallon insulated storage tank mounted higher than the collector, so thermosiphon circulation moved the water without a pump. No electricity, no pump, no moving parts. Natural convection, the same force that makes smoke rise, moves the water. Now here is the piece that took me longest to find, the detail that closes the loop and makes this system perform even on cloudy days. I found it not in a YouTube video or a homesteading blog. I found it in a 1978 internal report from the National Bureau of Standards, now called NIST, commissioned after the 1973 oil embargo, when the federal government suddenly wanted to understand every solar technology that American households had abandoned. The report examined what made pre-World War II solar water systems significantly outperform modern DIY versions. The answer was not the size of the collector. It was not the quality of the glass. It was the color of the backing inside the collector box. Standard flat black paint reflects between 3 and 5% of incoming solar radiation. The old systems, the climax units, the day and night units, used a material that was already common in farm and hardware stores in the early 20th century, lamp black. Lamp black is an ultrafine carbon powder, essentially the soot collected from burning oil lamps. Mixed with linseed oil into a thin paste and brushed onto the inside of the collector box, lamp black creates a surface that absorbs 96 to 98% of incoming solar radiation. It is as close to a perfect blackbody absorber as you can achieve with materials that cost almost nothing. The Amish communities I visited still use it. An older man in a community outside of Sugar Creek, Ohio, showed me a can he had sitting on a shelf in his workshop, lamp black, mixed with boiled linseed oil, the same formula his father had used. He said it was the difference between a collector that worked and one that merely looked like it should work. Modern flat black spray paint gets you most of the way there. Lamp black gets you the rest. You can buy lamp black at most art supply stores as a dry pigment sold for making ink or paint for $3 to $5 for a small bag. Mix it with boiled linseed oil, Thin it enough to brush, and paint the inside of your collector box before you coil in your tubing. Let it cure for 48 hours, then assemble the rest of the system. That one step, according to the 1978 NBS report, increased the thermal efficiency of flat plate collectors by 11 to 14% in measured field tests. On a $40 system, that is the difference between a system that covers half your hot water and one that covers most of it. The knowledge existed. It was on rooftops across California before anyone alive today was born. It was replaced, not improved, replaced by a cheaper short-term option that required you to keep paying forever for something sunlight was already doing for free. One community preserved it. They did not do it for ideological reasons. They did it because it worked, because it was theirs to build and own and pass down, and because no gas company ever got between them and the sun on their roof. And now you have it. That $3 can of lamp black in an Amish workshop in Sugar Creek, Ohio, is the last piece of a system that has been sitting in plain sight for 130 years. A box, a piece of glass, black pipe, and paint that absorbs almost everything the sun sends at it. Your water heater has been charging you rent on sunlight that was always free. If you are the kind of person who believes that real knowledge has been quietly pushed aside to protect someone else's profit, you already know what to do next. I want to ask you one thing before you go. When you looked at your water heater just now, whether in your mind or actually walked over and looked, did you ever once wonder why no plumber, no contractor, no home inspector, no energy company ever mentioned preheating? Leave your answer in the comments. Tell me yes or tell me no. This audience does not comment unless they are asked to. So I am asking directly, tell me what you are thinking. If what you saw here today is the kind of thing you wish someone had told you 30 years ago, the button to subscribe is right there. This channel exists for people who are done paying for things the sun does for free. Next week, I am going to show you what the Amish do with the leftover heat from their wood stoves, a technique for storing thermal energy in sand and stone that keeps a house warm for 72 hours after the fire goes out. 1 material, 0 electricity. It has been documented in county building records in Lancaster going back to 1887. That is next.